another Brick fan with a Star Wars helmet set. This is The Mandalorian. This is set 75328, was released in March 2022, has 584 pieces, and cost about $60 when it was released. This helmet is based upon the Disney Plus series The Mandalorian. This is The Mandalorian Din Djarin. I probably pronounced that wrong, but it's very similar to the Boba Fett helmet, which was released back in 2020, obviously, because they are both Mandalorian-style helmets. There are some differences, which I'll point out. We'll take a look at the two side by side, but let's take a quick look at the Mandalorian's helmet as it is right now. Of course, we have the nameplate down here of the Mandalorian. And moving up, getting a kind of closer view, there is some metallic silver pieces here. You can see those here on the cheeks here, and then across the top, and then there is a silver stripe that kind of goes all the way across the top, kind of indicating that Beskar armor. Moving around to the side here, you see the cheeks kind of the helmet are sunken in, which is different than the Boba Fett helmet. The side here has a little bit more detailing and quite a bit of the metallic silver. As you see, there's a bunch of these metallic silver parts, which I think look really nice, very shiny. Gets very smooth back here in the back. The top is all studs, with the exception of this stripe done in the metallic silver. And then in the back, it looks kind of like a vent here, perhaps. But again, all pretty smooth around the back, and they did a good job with these slopes to get that rounded shaping. So these side pieces angle just slightly away from the model because they are on a clip piece inside there. And then you see how the visor kind of starts way on the side here. It's very narrow on the top, widening just slightly, and then feeding into this big long section here. So these cheek pieces that have the silver on both sides, these are the slopes and then some plates here. These are also clipped in and clipped just underneath that section here in the front that kind of holds it all in place. Very clever building techniques used on these helmets, and I always appreciate how they turn out. The stand is just normal. We have the black stand, which we see on all of these figures. So let's take a look at this one compared to Boba Fett, which was released in 2020. So here we have two slightly different Mandalorian helmets. The Mandalorian helmet here is maybe just a touch taller. Might have one or two plates taller than the Boba Fett model. I think most of it is because of this Beskar stripe that goes across the top. Notice Boba Fett's helmet has the targeting sight here. But taking a look just right straight on, you can definitely see the sunken cheek here. Obviously, Boba Fett is much more colorful. Some battle damage and stuff. It's a much older helmet, whereas the Mandalorian's helmet was recently crafted, I suppose you could say. But some of the cheek design is similar, right? Where they have these curves in here and some of the other studs exposed with these, slope pieces. The center is kind of similar, right? We have the smooth tiles here. The visor looks pretty much the same. Looking at the Mandalorian's set here on the side versus Boba Fett here on the side, you can see they're kind of designed the same, although they are slightly different. Bigger slopes are used here on the Mandalorian helmet than on Boba Fett, but it still gives you that same slope effect. Turning around to the very back, we also see some venting here. These are done with slopes, whereas this was done with those grid pieces or vent pieces. And of course the sides, pretty much the same. Boba Fett has two different sides. I think some of that is because this is an older helmet, hasn't been repaired. So this is probably what it looked like in the beginning, as opposed to what it looks like on the other side, where Boba probably had to actually repair the helmet on his own. Didn't have the luxury of a Mandalorian armorer to fix that for him. So there is the comparison between the two helmets. Overall, a very nice look. Most of these helmets, I think, look kind of really good at kind of an angle like this, where you can kind of get the depth of it. You can see all of that nice silver pieces there that gives that nice shiny effect. Obviously would have been way too expensive to coat the whole thing in that silver. You would have probably doubled the price of this particular set, but it is nice to see those highlights, and I think it blends in quite well with this standard gray color. The sunken cheeks are kind of an interesting look, and I think that's fairly accurate to the source material from The Mandalorian. This is definitely recognizable as The Mandalorian's helmet. Going into value of this set, almost all of these helmets have been priced right at that $60 price point. So price per piece on this is right at just slightly above 10 cents per piece. So using that as a benchmark, I would say it's a good value, but I expect these helmets to cost $60. You might as well just budget for that, regardless of the number of pieces. Although I believe Darth Vader was more expensive because it did have a few more pieces, but in general, all of these helmets have been right at that $60 price point. These all look great together on display. It's a really nice look to put all of these together with now 8 different Star Wars helmets. You get quite a variety, and I'm sure there's many more to come. I'm going to get started on looking at the Dark Trooper helmet for tomorrow. And until then, happy building. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button and be sure to subscribe to see more of my content. I've left a link to my Star Wars and helmet review playlists up here on the screen.